Welcome to Texas Ranch Living. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Carolyn.
And this week we're setting up our winter grazing rotation plan for the goats.
Let's get to it. The first reason for doing this is goat health. By moving them every couple of days into a clean new area, we're able to put out fresh hay, which helps us with the parasites. The other reason that we move our goats every couple of days is to keep them mildly entertained, because when they get too bored, they get really loud.
The second reason that we want to put this pasture rotation in place is because this pasture, don't really know the whole history of it, but it's been overgrazed and abused, and you can kind of see how the different plants that are coming up, most of them aren't really desirable. There are some places where the soil really, you can basically call it dirt, because we've got some desertification happening as well because it's been so overgrazed and just poorly maintained over time. And there's just not a lot of nutrition and microbes and microorganisms that really want to come here and help sustain the pasture. So we really want to rebuild that and make it more of a welcoming environment so that we can have healthier soils and have some different plants growing in here. A lot of these plants have gone dormant already for the winter, so we're not expecting huge results on the goats eating most of these, but whatever they take out will be great, and if they leave anything behind, we'll just shred that and break it down so it starts to compost into the soil as well. We do plan on eventually getting a soil test in here to give us some more definitive results on what we're dealing with, but it doesn't take much to notice that the soil is in poor condition here. Nature is trying to do its thing and rehabilitate this pasture, but really doesn't have enough tools in the toolbox to get the job done, so we're going to step in and help with the goats. Let's start with a diagram showing the overview and a quick run through of the numbers we're looking at. The pasture we're putting the goats in has a total of 35 acres. These little red squares are going to represent about a 1 acre plot. And inside of that acre, we're going to put in 3 round bales for the goats to eat while they're in there. You might wonder, how many goats are we actually going to put in there? Well, it's going to be about 150. And we estimate that it's going to take them about 3 to 4 days to graze down those 3 round bales. So some quick math here, at 35 acres with each plot taking about 3 days, we're looking at 105 days, which will basically take us all the way through the winter season. Let's get into the process of how the goats are going to be moving around the pasture. We're going to start them off in the southeast corner, and they'll slowly make their way all the way through the 35 acres. Each area is going to match up with the previous one so that we can easily move the goats into the next section once they've finished the previous one. We try to have a plan of how the goats will move throughout, but in actual practice we kind of just make it up as we go along, kind of fitting the pieces together here and there. Probably noticing the gaps in between some of these sections, and that's going to be a community area for the goats where we're going to put up some temporary shelters for them in case some nasty weather shows up or they want to get out of the sun. Even through the winter months in Texas it can get quite warm, so having shade available is always a good idea. Also, we'll have fresh water and a few different supplements for them to choose from. And we've decided to call these areas the Goat Lounge. First thing is getting access to the pasture that the goats are going to be in. And instead of going through our property, which is not really a straight shot, we decided to go around and down the county road and found an access point that's an old wire gap that didn't even know was there until we started planning for this project. And since no one's used this in who knows how many years, I get to use my chainsaw to remove a few mesquite branches. No idea who the last person was to lock this, but we're in luck today because I have the key. Oh no, it's supposed to go faster. After getting access to the area, it's time to break out the measuring wheel and start marking out the different plots that these paddocks are going to be fitting into. Then it's time to break out the brush cutter and start clearing the paths for our fencing.
We use portable electrified fencing to keep the goats in rather than permanent fencing. This makes setup quick and easy for us in this pasture. This fence also keeps out predators and feral hogs that wander across our property from time to time.
Distributing hay has become quite enjoyable. Uh, Previous to this, we used to have to roll out these round bales by hand, and we would try to find a hill to push them down, but since our ranch is pretty flat, it was pretty rare that we would get that opportunity. So now with this hay unroller, it is just a dream and it saves us lots of time and energy. With everything finally set up, it was time to release the goats. Alright, let's let these goats out. You guys ready? Here we go. Oh, guys. The tents we're setting up are actually carports, but they make for great temporary shelters for the goats, easy to set up, easy to tear down and move. We just take out the bottom poles so that they're a little shorter for the goats.
Welcome to the Goat Lounge, where we serve tasty mineral blocks, protein links, and fresh water all day long.
And after 4 days of grazing, the goats are ready to be turned into their next area to get back to work. So these are the initial results of the first area that we had the goats in. You'll notice that the hay has been eaten down. There's a little bit left behind, but that's okay. There's always some waste, but it's minimalized by rolling out the bales, so we really like that. And they've left behind lots of manure, which is wonderful, so those microbes hopefully will be enticed to move in. And also, you know, they've left some urine as well, but everything is kind of eaten down. The surprising part to me is that they also ate quite a bit of the dormant plants that were growing in here. That was pretty surprising. Did not expect that. But you'll also see that there's still some cactus and mesquite in here. So that's going to be kind of the phase 2. This is just the first wave of what we're doing. The goats, you know, they don't like to eat prickly pear cactus, and they really don't like mesquite trees either. So we'll have to come in behind them, and we're going to grub those up, and that'll be further along in the process. But this initial wave and getting this first layer down is just a first step of many. And here we have bachelor number 1. He is always ready for a good time and can usually be found training, constantly keeping his body in peak physical form. Bachelor number 2 is reserved and patient, preferring relaxation and long walks in the meadows.